Hey, you want me to fix you up with somebody? I know a lot of guys in this town, they'd fall down over you. Their brains would fall out and they'd froth at the mouth.
Well, that sounds attractive. Thanks a lot, but I don't think so. Besides, I kind of got my eye on Daddy Duke.
Well, honey, if you change your mind, just let me know.
Yes, she will. Oh, isn't that sound wonderful?
Oh.
Nice way.
Yeah, no. It's really interesting, and it's about a group of people who don't really get a lot of films made about them.
Exactly.
There are films made about lower class people, about
Right.
poor people, but they're generally like living in New York,
right,
or whatever. Like,
right.
These are people in Middle America or in the Southwest,
Mm-hmm.
and they're struggling to get by,
Yep.
and they're just living everyday lives, and things are fairly mundane. But there's, beauty and humor
Mm-hmm.
and joy
Mm-hmm.
and dreams in their life, and the film is just so remarkable. I think Ellen Burstyn does an amazing job.
Yeah.
She deservedly won Best Actress Oscar that year
Yeah.
for this performance.
For sure.
All of the performances work really well, which is a testament to Scorsese's,
Mm-hmm.
growing talents as a director. This was, I think, his third or fourth film.
Mm-hmm.
He made it after Mean Streets, which was his
debut.
it was his biggest breakthrough. It wasn't his first film, but it was his biggest breakthrough. And it was a really interesting direction to go in, because he had this reputation of a kind of, tough guy, New York, makes a film about the mafia kind of director. And his other big film, Who's That Knocking on My Door, is sort of about this guy dealing with his macho beliefs about his girlfriend. So it was kind of way outside of his normal... His wheelhouse, thank you, Meara. And he does a remarkable job. You see a lot of really interesting camera moves.
Yes. In the diner, just quick pace.
And he's kind of playing around with the art of editing and with camera placement, which he, really became a master of.
She's at her wit's end.
Right.
She's come to that breaking point. But, I just love the complexities. So.
And it really did. It felt like such an authentic film. Like, authenticity is like the word that I keep coming back to, because it really just felt like I was immediately like emotionally drawn to these people. Like,
Completely.
you really get sucked into it, and you're like, oh boy, I really like want to go on this journey with them. And I feel like maybe because like I don't ever identify with Scorsese's characters. I'm never like, and maybe that's a point. You're not supposed. There's a line that delineates the bad people that you watch, and you don't want to. I mean, maybe Travis Bickle's like the exception, because maybe you understand that he's a monster. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think about the other female characters in this film, like Sybil Shepherd's character in Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Or Sharon Stone in Casino, Linda Moriarty in Raging Bull. They're all seen through the eyes of the male characters in the film.
This is true.
And except for, I think, Lorraine Bracco in Goodfellas, who is allowed to narrate sections of her story.
Right.
And that's probably another character that's fully formed with agency and an arc throughout the story.
Right.
But apart from Alice, I can think of very few others in his film career.
You wouldn't think she'd been gone so long, would you? Sometimes when I walk along the corridor, I fancy I hear her just behind me. That quick, light step. I couldn't mistake it anywhere. It's not only in this room. It's in all the rooms in the house. I can almost hear it now. Do you think the dead come back and watch the living?
No, I don't believe it.
Sometimes. I wonder if she doesn't come back here to Manderley. Watch you and Mr. De Winter together. You look tired. Why don't you stay here a while and rest? And listen to the sea. So soothing. Listen to it. Listen.
was produced by the one and only David O. Selznick the year after he had swept the Oscars with Gone with the Wind. So he is basically at the height of his powers, and because David O. Selznick is not your average producer, he deserves at least 50% of the credit for the film's success, I have to say. That being said, Rebecca is a very faithful adaptation of a novel by Daphne du Maurier. It tells the story of an unnamed woman, played by Joan Fontaine, who meets a mysterious, dashing, wealthy man in the south of France who is mourning the recent death of his beloved wife. They have a whirlwind romance. He asks her to marry him at the spur of the moment. She accepts and returns home to his palatial estate named Manderley. There they find that almost everything in the house is sort of a shrine to this late woman, Rebecca. The head of the household, the mysterious Mrs. Danvers, has this unnatural fixation on her, and we eventually find out that there was much more to Rebecca than meets the eye.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
I never got scared from her. I just think that there was like a...
Well, she was kind of a terrifying, like you almost thought she was perfect.
Well,
like,
yeah,
the way
I mean,
that they talked
right.
about her and everything.
It was that, like, I think that the second wife couldn't, like, live up to the expectations or whatever, because she was, her presence was everywhere in the house, and, like, when she's wearing that costume, and his face just goes, like, ashen or whatever, and he's like, get out of that dress.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit
Mrs.
what you're wearing.
Danvers,
Yeah, Mrs. Danvers set her up.
I liked that scene too, because she was like, Mrs. Danvers, you're such a bitch. Like, why did you do this? Like, well, she didn't
And
say
then
that.
she, that one part where Mrs. Danvers is over
like,
her and
I love
like
that
wants
scene.
her to jump.
Why don't you jump?
Nobody
do it.
But yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
good. That's good.
And then
probably
she
the
got
most killing
distracted
scene.
with the.
Are you coming, Charles?
No. I'm staying here. I can fight this all alone.
Charles, if you don't listen to reason, it may be too late.
Too late? For what? For you and this public thief to take the love of the people of this state away from me?
Charlie, you got other things to think about. Your little boy. You don't want him to read about you in the papers.
There's only one person in the world to decide what I'm going to do, and that's me.
You decided what you were going to do, Charles, some time ago.
You know, I don't know.
I think for me, I recognize it as a classic. That's very well done, and you know, but I mean, it's weird because I feel like I like The Trial more than Citizen Kane, which is still an Orson Welles film, but you know, The Trial kind of took that part of Citizen Kane that was a little bit more, I'm losing my words here, but not as structured, like more like a dream logic type scenario, and I kind of like that better. But anyways, I like Citizen Kane, but I feel like I want to reject it because everybody's like, this is the best movie. This is the best movie. Like, I'm supposed to think this is the best movie. And no, I don't think it's the best movie, but I think it's a really good movie. And Orson Welles is a genius. But I've seen better films, but this is still a good film.
I think it's just, in terms of, you have to think of, like, what people clarify as best, like, what goes into something considered the best. Like, I'm all for people saying, you know, like, they invented camera stuff for this. Like, they invented the deep focus for this movie, basically. Like, they did, like, the low-angle shot and the high-angle shot when it wasn't done before. Like, it was innovative for its time in a way that, like, you just don't see nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
they matte printed wells in with historical figures like Teddy Roosevelt and Adolf Hitler. They invented that technology in 1941.
Mm-hmm.
It still looks seamless.
It does. I mean, it is an achievement of technological and camera work that just like blows your mind.
Yeah.
And it's just the way that it's sort of clipped together and snips along like that. Like it's just, it feels very much like you're just watching a movie that it feels very modern even now.
It's a movie that's decades ahead of its time.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I think that's what makes it best.
It uses the medium of film in a way that very few filmmakers of any kind, you know, maybe some like Russians like Giga Vertog, you know, was doing really experimental stuff, but it incorporates aspects of European films. It uses the best of you know, the kind of widescreen shots that John Ford was getting. In fact, Greg Toland, the brilliant cinematographer, was hired because he worked with John Ford. And it's important to point out just what a singular achievement it was for the man to co-write the screenplay, produce the film, direct the film, and star in the film. And the man was 24 years old.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Tiene su andar, y aunque el olvido que todo lo destruye haya matado mi vieja ilusión, guardo escondida y una esperanza humilde que es toda la fortuna de mi corazón. Volver con la frente marchita, la nieve del tiempo platearon mi cielo. Sentir que es un soplo la vida, que 20 años no es nada, que febril la mirada y errante en la sombra te busca y te nombra vivir con el alma aferrada a un...
Welcome to Movie of the Week. This is Rebecca Martin, organizer and founder of the Chicago Film Lover Exchange. She's like,
where
oh,
she
it
smells the
like
farts.
Here. And then, you know, but it was like a touching scene, like, you know, like, oh, they're just remembering, like, something together. But it was like...
It's so idiosyncratic, it feels like a real family joke.
Yes.
There's something honest about it, and obviously, you know, delightful.
And they were all just laughing. And it was just...
No, it was a very, like, it just felt like a very much like a slice of life, just... Like you were watching family members. And the thing is, like, with death and the things that the film is dealing with where it's really heavy subject matter.
Yeah,
death is really heavy, but sometimes you have to counteract it with humor. Like,
exactly.
Nobody can be that somber. Like, people, you know.
I mean, I just came here from Deep River, Ontario, and now I'm in this dream place.
Someone is in trouble. Something bad is happening.
Could be someone's missing, maybe. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, she is pretty. She's beautiful. She's like the Hollywood star.
Yeah,
you know, she's got the full look going, you know, with the hair and the lips and all that, and the body.
And I liked the thing about doppelgangers in this, like that they I don't know if I have like an explanation for it, but I'm always interested by doppelgangers in films because it's always like, what is it?
Yeah, right. And then question, the dead Diane, was that just a random, like, you know, like, it wasn't Naomi Watts because she was Betty at that time.
I don't know.
That's fascinating. I think Betty was seeing Diane.
Right, but was Diane the Diane from the next part?
Oh, gosh, who knows?
So she was seeing herself dead from the other dimension world?
Dude, I have no idea. I have no idea.
I mean, that's an interesting question.
Did she really die? Who knows?
I mean, I honestly feel like we're in a bunch of different dimensions. I know you were saying, like, the beginning was kind of the dreamlike part, and then the end was, like, the reality.
But that's only one interpretation.
And maybe she didn't really die in the end, but, like, a part of her she just chose to kill off. Like, I have no idea.
I just feel like there's, like, different dimensions going on
for
here.
sure.
But then it also is... dreams are all over the place there, but I also feel like it's almost like, there's a switch, like if, Betty / Diane, like Diane didn't have the success that Betty had, and so they took different routes, and then the part where Rita is in the limo in the beginning, you also see Diane in the limo at the same part. So it's just like, it's kind of like they switch places just because it's like they've taken two different